What does if I'm the new BFF? What does Susan say about that?
She's she's fine with it.
She's the female BFF.
She's my female BFF.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
well, that sounds
She
safe.
just she's just she has to laugh at me. That's all because she thinks it's funny.
Well, I mean, again, you're a very energetic person,
Oh,
so I think there's plenty of room for multiple BFFs.
there's plenty of room.
Yeah,
Yeah, and what I we should talk about this. Let's
go
do
ahead.
that.
You're not going to hear in
I'm not
that.
going to hear
Yeah,
anything.
but I'm
This
seeing.
one's not on now.
Correct. Yes.
Oh,
Because it's not. Well, I mean, it still maybe could be plugged into your phone, but
no.
uh, the Mac has built-in speakers. You see that line there? That's us talking.
Okay. Okay.
So
So this is useless.
and correct.
Okay.
At
That's
least for
all I
this,
need to know.
yes.
All
As
right. Great. So whenever we're ready, this is I'm Jane Stahl,
and I'm Yergz.
and this is
Both sides now
how about that? And
in
here
person.
I know I am so excited. I have told everybody how excited I was that you were coming to town,
Yeah.
and that because they know I call you my new BFF. So there you go. I'm so excited to see you,
And here
and I
we
want
are.
to hear all about Thanksgiving and what you see here now that you're back here. Do you see any changes in
Oh,
the
yeah.
old hometown? Talk about that a little
I
bit.
saw the popular and slash infamous "Before I Die" wall.
You did.
We walked by that a couple times.
Yeah, we should talk
you
about
and I walked
that.
by it
Yes.
when we went to lunch, and
Yes.
then I don't know why else I was over there, but I think
Did Zach go to Deal Me in Games?
no.
Okay.
I guess perhaps we drove by it.
Okay.
I think.
Perhaps. I've
Um,
checked it twice a day
Yeah.
since the two of us checked it together
Yeah.
the other day because of all the brouhaha that
Still
that
going,
has
still going.
surfaced
Okay, good.
this weekend about it.
Yeah.
The kids, the high school kids. Can
Well,
we
that's
go
what my
into the-
parents said. Yeah, they said kids.
They
I was like,
understand,
yeah,
right? Right?
Yeah, they said kids are going to be kids.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've had some really inappropriate things written on it because the kids were in town and they had nothing to do. So they entertained themselves by writing inappropriate things on the wall. And there were some individuals who were just thought that we should be making a big deal announcement, a public announcement, how we, as the people who were responsible for putting it up there. Anyway, by the way, this is a Before I Die, I Want to
Yes.
wall, which
Yes.
is in, now I've forgotten all the details.
You saw it somewhere else first.
Dozens of countries. I mean, 30 some countries and 70 some languages over the past 10 years or so. And the wall was developed initially by an artist who lost, whose very dear friend, whom she saw to be a mother figure to her, died before she got to do a lot of things she wanted to do. And so in her grief, she, I guess at one point, started writing Before I Die, I Want to on a wall of some kind. And by the next morning or by the next day, it was filled with responses from other people, which inspired her.
Yeah.
And as a result, like I said, in dozens of other countries, 30 some countries and 70 some languages over the course of however many years, the different communities have had Before I Die walls. And so, and she was very inspired by that. And so one of our people here in Boyertown with a friend of hers were visiting Alaska last summer,
Wow.
a summer ago,
Just this past?
No, summer before.
Okay.
And in Alaska, they were having coffee and they were sitting, they were having coffee and they saw all these people gathered around something and they wondered what that something was. And so when they got up, they saw that it was the Before I Die wall and people were adding
Right.
what it is they wanted to do or be or whatever before they died. And they were so inspired by that. They added their own something. And my friend Amy texted me from that coffee shop and said, I have a project and we've got to do it, And so it was so Coincidental.
What is that black surface made of? Is it actual?
Chalkboard paint.
Okay. Wow.
Chalkboard
Okay.
paint.
Very cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so she texted me and said we had to do that. But coincidentally, I had just received a grant award for a project that Studio B was doing, an art exhibit and a book of poetry and prose. By the way, it was our 10th
No, we're good.
book,
Yep.
Poetry and prose. I had just received a grant award for a project called Legacy, Remembrance Matters. Well, the wall fit perfectly
Yeah.
with the theme. So as a result of all that, we put up this wall. Anyway, fast forward. It was across the street for a couple of months during my Legacy project. And then Amy, because it's her project, wanted it to continue. So she moved it down the street. Well, moving it down the street made it way more visible
Yeah.
and accessible to way more people.
Hey gang, it's Yergz. The part that you just heard, we recorded on Saturday during my visit to Boyertown. Unfortunately, internet wasn't the best, and we lost connectivity. As such, we returned on Sunday with a vengeance. Here's what we recorded. Thanks for listening.
So that's going.
What?
Yep, that's going.
Is it?
So that's ready.
Okay.
So yeah.
So we'll try this again.
Yeah.
All right.
Take 2.
Let's see. Take 2. So we're recording.
We are. That one is. I don't know what it would.
Not yet.
That. Okay. Yeah.
I'll just do this. We can ignore it. Anyway, I'm Jane Stahl.
And I'm Yergz.
And this is
Both sides now.
and
That is the one we're doing this time, right? Yes.
I believe so. Yes. Anyway, so here we are at the end of your Thanksgiving vacation here in Pennsylvania.
Work trip. Keeping the family happy.
Oh my God. So one of the things we talked about, or tried to talk about, by the way, folks, let's be perfectly transparent here. This is take 2.
Yes.
Both sides. Now, we tried to do this episode yesterday and had some difficulty with internet. I'm not exactly sure why, but here we are again. But one of the things I enjoyed talking about with you yesterday were some of the things, changes that you've seen. Now, I know you come back to Boyertown every now and then.
Yeah.
But, I guess I'm interested in just exploring some of the things that you find different here in Boyertown, Pennsylvania, from when you were here and left town, probably close to your graduation in 1990.
Little after. I was still here during my time in professional baseball.
Okay.
And I was still in and out before that during my years in college.
Oh, of course.
The first 2 years were at Penn State Berks.
Yes, of course.
And then the next 3 years were at University Park.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, I lived up there, but
Came back
was back for the summer, back for holidays and so on. Then January of 96 was professional baseball.
Okay.
That's when that started. And I did that for 2 years. But in the off season, again, I was here.
Yeah.
Stayed here through till moved out of mom and dad's right before going to the police academy.
Okay.
And attended the police academy, living at the upstairs apartment at 500 East Philadelphia Avenue.
Well, now that was close to some
So that
iconic
is
places in your life.
Well, that is an iconic place. It was a long time ago mayor of Boyertown's house.
Okay.
Kenny Nice was an attorney.
Yes, of course.
And my grandfather bought it from him and put his chiropractor's office in there.
Okay.
And Nana and Pop lived in the upstairs residence area. The entire place was one big house, but they remodeled the upstairs to be a residence for the downstairs offices. When my grandfather retired, Greg
Now he retired from
My grandfather was a chiropractor,
chiropractor. Okay.
and he was in the offices below his house, or the
Okay.
first floor of his house.
Okay.
When he retired, Greg, I'm brain farting.
Park.
Yes, Greg Parks and Greg
There
and
you
Cindy
go.
Parks
Yep.
bought the whole place from him, and they, I think, lived up there at the start,
Okay.
but then they moved out to like Gilbertsville, New Hanover, somewhere out there,
Yeah.
and rented that as an income property.
Got it.
And I was one of the people that lived in there.
Got it.
And it was not only iconic, it's a nice, good looking place for the town, kind of sort of catty corner from Tallarico's.
Mm-hmm. Another
And,
iconic location that is
and-
no longer operational.
And up from
Sadly.
Itch's Sunoco.
Now it's just Sunoco.
And Bob's, because we talked about during your episode, Be Inspired.
Yes.
Bob Sunoco was my uncle
Okay.
who had that before Itch. And Bob Seidel.
Right, of course.
Yeah, that's my dad's.
I got them
brother-in-law.
confused for a moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
Itch was your relative, but it's
Yeah,
Bob
no,
Seidel.
Bob Seidel.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, he had three
Well,
buildings
Kathy
at his climax.
And I
Yeah.
graduated together
Okay. All right.
back in the day.
Yep. So
Yep.
you, Kathy, and Jody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So he had three properties. He had that one. He had another one which became Faust Auto
Okay.
over by.
I know where that is, Sug Chevrolet. Behind
uh,
Sug Chevrolet it is now, right?
I think it was one of the Sug places that's like we had like the Corvettes and stuff. I think.
Yeah. Sug did.
Like
Mhm.
up from the Body Works and is it Boyertown Milling or something like that? That would be right across the street.
I lose track of the names of things.
But that
By
kind of
the
general
way,
area.
I said yesterday in one of the episodes we recorded that I wondered if our audience was interested in all this memory stuff. And you mentioned Linda Gresh. And so I went back in my feed and found, she's Linda Gresh Ferraro. And
Okay.
she puts up a lot of photographs
Yeah.
about old places in
Yeah.
Boyertown.
Yeah. Somebody just put up some of the tombstones from Fairview Cemetery
Okay.
from the house fire or from the Opera House fire.
Possibly Luann Zambonini.
No, it was a guy.
Oh.
I don't know who it was. I don't remember.
Okay.
But I want to say it was a guy just took a walk and found
Yeah.
some of the 1908 I think it was tombstones
Yeah.
from the Opera House fire.
Yeah.
But so been here through 2000. And then it was even after I was hired by the Secret Service when I finally moved closer to Philadelphia.
Okay.
In my first couple of months before I went to training, for 3 months, I was just driving to the Philadelphia field office every day
Yeah.
and just sitting there because I wasn't an agent yet. I couldn't do shit.
Yeah.
But they had enough money to hire me,
Yeah.
but not enough money to send me to school at the end of the October fiscal
Yeah.
year. And so it wasn't until after October that, even though I was hired in July,
Yeah.
that I finally went to training. When I came back from training, I was not going to be making that drive every day.
Right. Right.
So, and I know of people that do that to
Yeah.
Philadelphia. You're
That's
on,
crazy.
You're on drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But some of the places that you remember that are no longer here in Boyertown, we talked about some of them yesterday.
The Dinner Bell.
Yeah, which is now Fred Bean's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That the whole original Dinner Bell building is gone. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Stall's Restaurant, Frosty Key.
Those. The Walmart is newer to
Oh.
me.
Yeah.
I mean, I had been for many different trips back in the Redners, which was also not always there.
What is it?
The Redners grocery
Oh,
store.
Redner's. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also newish.
Yes, I don't
to
remember
a
what
younger
was,
generation.
What was
That
there
was
before.
all.
It was
That was
just
all fields. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
and
all
Walmart
fields.
too?
Walmart too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we
Um,
talked yesterday about the iconic Bull and Barrel.
Yeah. So that's gone since my childhood.
Yeah, that was a rough place.
Because I like I said in that I don't know if it was in this episode that we tried to record or in
The
the
Be
Be
Inspired.
Inspired.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember seeing a guy literally being thrown
Thrown
out the
out.
door
Yeah.
onto Weisstown Road.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. 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 A lot of
Because that building was right up on the corner
Oh yeah, where
where the
Circle
sign
K.
is.
Yeah.
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 And because I remember the other thing about that intersection between there and the intersection half a block away at Henry Avenue and Reading Avenue,
Oh yes.
both bad intersections.
Yeah, and now we have lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of the old timers are not terribly happy about that. We've
I
survived.
think that's a very well designed intersection.
I think so too.
I
Yeah.
see that they cut out the shortcut.
They did.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly
down
where you're
in front of the
talking
church.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Subi Beck used to complain about that particular shortcut. Why is there one? It just opens up for adventure or traffic jams or accidents or whatever. So she was glad to see that one gone. Although my husband always laughs at how many signs there are for that little parking spaces for the house on the corner. There are like 16 signs, something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's like DC. You need a calendar and a lawyer to be able to park legally anywhere around the monuments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you do this from this period to that period, and only on these certain days.
Yeah.
And you still get a ticket.
It gets nuts. So anyway, for me, a lot of the holiday was spent kind of negotiating a kerfluffle.
Oh,
yes.
Are we still on the wall?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we talked about that some yesterday. So I think our audience might be interested in history here, because one of the things we have in Boyertown right now is a kind of a wall or a mural that was constructed, and it's constructed out of wood or whatever, but it is part of an international project called Before I Die.
Yeah.
And the wall says, "Before I die, I want to." And then folks are, I'll get it. My brain stopped for a minute. Folks are to add their hopes, their dreams.
Fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And we had it originally here as part of Studio B's Legacy Project that happened this past summer. My friend Amy and her friend Judy went to Alaska a summer ago. And while they were there at a coffee shop, they watched people gather around something, and they didn't know what the something was. When they got close to the something, they realized it was one of these "Before I Die, I Want to" walls. That these walls are in like 30 some countries, in 70 some languages, and they watched people add their responses, and they of course added their responses. And Amy said, "I've got to text Jane, because we need to have one of these walls in Boyertown." So she did. And like I said to you yesterday, it was a real cool coincidence that I had already received grant funding for our legacy project. And I figured this legacy project was perfect thematically with Before I Die. So it was here. Yeah. So it was here during the summer. And, I'd come in, Ginger and I would walk down and we'd check the wall for inappropriate responses in the morning during our morning walk. And then before dinner, I'd say to Paul, "Okay, I got to run out, check the wall."
Really?
Yes. So twice a day for 2 months.
But that second one was a special trip.
Yes, it was a special trip.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a special trip. And
see, that's the type of thing that people need to know more about.
What do you mean?
That you're making a special trip every day, 7 days a week.
Yes.
To
monitor.
To keep it clean.
Yeah. Anyway, at the end of our legacy project, it moved down the street.
Right.
Facing, not hidden in a walkway, but right on Philadelphia Avenue, which attracted a whole lot more people, which was a good thing.
Right.
But it also, especially during half days of school, attracted a lot of kids who used it as their entertainment and added some really inappropriate and stupid stuff, So some of the leaders here in town were upset about that.
Does anybody ever sign it?
No.
It's all totally anonymous?
Totally anonymous, yeah.
And I'm not saying that, somebody, drops the F-bomb on it or something. They're going to, fess to it right away and put their name by it.
No.
But I mean, is there any other inspirational type of before and then they sign?
No. Somebody here in town wants to marry Michael because that message, even though, rain would erase it every now and then.
Yeah.
Whoever it was, male, female, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
came back almost all the time. Every time he got erased, came back to say, I want to marry Michael. So I hope that happens.
Yeah.
But there were some really inspirational things. Some of the things I loved were, I want to rescue all of the pets.
I saw that one.
Yeah, I want to rescue all the pets. I want to pet a sea lion. I want to make the world a better place. I want to see my grandchildren grow up,
Yeah.
I want to be a better person. There were a lot of inspirational kinds of things. But the kerfluffle was all about the inappropriate things. And, I admit we didn't monitor it once it moved.
Right.
Because I figured it wasn't my project anymore. And while I said, I think we need to make sure it gets monitored, let's make up a schedule, I'll do Tuesdays, for example, and hopefully we can find some other people who would do the rest of the week. But, my friend Amy monitored it as best as she could, but you can't be there all the time, and you don't know, but we should have anticipated a little bit better during half days when the kids were walking around. I remember one time when it was first moved and I realized it was a half day and I'm driving by, and I want to talk about that in a minute.
Oh.
Now I'm driving by and I see these kids in front of the wall and they're giggling and writing and so forth. And I thought, yeah, they're up to no good. So I circled around the block after they left, and went and checked a wall and erased whatever it was. But I didn't make that a common practice. But my husband laughs at me because these days, when you were in high school, we used to check town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's as words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to check town. Well, tell Dad, or maybe I'll tell Dad when I see him later. I still check town.
Yeah.
I've developed that little habit.
Yeah.
And it comes from the wall, really. I'd come in the evening, I'd erase the wall, and then I'd check town. And I still do.
So I live in kind of a small
grown
town.
up.
I live in kind of a small town outside of Tampa where you could easily, just cruise the 2 blocks of the main streets.
Yeah.
And when I say I live in a small town, there's one light and it's blinking.
No kidding.
All the other lights are out on the
I'm
highway.
happy to know you live in a small town because I've been to Florida and it is nuts. I've been to Fort Myers area,
Yeah.
Naples area, and the streets are like 6 lanes and the lights are like 5 minutes long, I think.
Well, see, I love all of that, because that's a more modern,
Oh, yeah.
like we said in a previous episode or in yesterday's Be Inspired recording, anytime a highway is built here in Pennsylvania, it's obsolete the day it opens.
Whoa.
And
Because of the traffic patterns?
yes,
Okay.
it's a study for now, not for a future.
Yeah.
And that's the Turnpike,
The
Blue
Turnpike.
Route, the Blue Route,
Oh,
the Northeast Extension, the Schuylkill Expressway,
crazy.
all of them.
Yeah.
And you have the volume here because you have the tighter, narrower highways.
Yeah.
I have streets, not even with traffic lights
Mhm.
every block
Mhm.
that are 6 lanes wide.
Right.
We don't have highways around here like that.
Well, apparently Pennsylvania Turnpike is the least favorite turnpike in the entire country. And I can appreciate that, having lived in Colorado when
Yeah.
things were a little more
Yeah.
modern and
Yeah.
the highways were,
Yeah. So the width and that longer light, I think, especially when they're in sync,
Oh, when they're,
With
when
the
they're
other
in sync, that's
intersections?
okay.
it really gets you moving.
Yeah.
The quick lights, I think, is what causes accidents,
Okay.
because you're on and off the brake.
Yeah.
If it's a 30-second green light,
Yeah.
you're gunning it,
Yep.
and then you didn't make it, so you got to slam on the brakes.
Yeah.
The guy behind you doesn't slam on the brakes and rear ends you, or vice versa.
Yep.
If it's 5 minutes, you got a lot of time.
But aren't you checking your phone
Yeah.
and putting on your playlist?
And when you're stopped for 5 minutes, you've got time to do that. When you're stopped for 30 seconds, you don't. That was me. I just hit the bottom of the.
Okay.
I think we're still going there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
And
you want
it's okay.
everything good? Okay.
No, I think we're done.
Oh, you
We'll
got a
save
space?
it. Yep.
Okay.
We're just messing with our technology here.
Well, that's still going, so we're good that way.
Yeah. And we'll just start again.
Just put BSN.
Something like that. Yeah.
Are you at a space?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll take a minute to hold that.
Oh, well, I can take some water while we're.
And you can edit this.
Yeah.
Or not. So anyway, so you're headed back to Tampa, to the Tampa airport later today. And I'm forgetting exactly the direction we took in our conversation yesterday. Do you recall?
With regards to
anything?
The Both Sides Now episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were doing some of the reminiscing. And I think that was almost pretty much it when I realized my computer was not recording either.
Yeah.
Because yesterday we lost internet for a second. And on most apps, you pick right back up.
Yeah.
But what we're recording with on my computer is on the internet. And so I had to log back into it, and I thought I completed that process and apparently never pressed record. So we had a good conversation that we don't know what that was.
We don't remember.
So
anyway, so the other thing we might talk about is we have invited here at Studio B today a number of people to come meet you.
Yeah.
People with whom you've had conversations online.
Yep.
Or on phone or whatever, that we hope possibly may be guests on our Both Sides Now podcast.
Yeah.
Or that you might actually develop a relationship with so that they would have their own shows.
Yep.
Yeah. And one of those people, just to introduce them to our audience at this point, in case we have them later, one of those people is one of my friends, Jill Denon, who should be able to and is willing to work with you in keeping our Boyertown people aware of what's going on at school board meetings and the issues in the district and so forth. And she's really well informed. She's been a school board member for, I think, maybe 10 years. I may be lying there, and she'll correct me if and when she is a guest on our show or develops a show with you on your own, the two of you. But, and she ran for several state legislative positions in the past couple of years. So she really knows what's going on. And she's a good talker. So it'll be a good thing. She's coming this afternoon,
nice.
Bringing cookies. I
nice.
think.
Oh, cool. I think my mom is bringing. They're not going to get here till a little bit later, but I think they're bringing like ham, cheese, and pineapple.
Get out.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Oh
yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Mom's been cooking all weekend.
Yeah. It's
anyway,
time for a break.
Another person I hope you'll meet today is a good friend of mine, fellow teacher, Bill Cherkasky.
Yep.
Now, Bill, in case we get a chance to meet him and you talk to him later or he becomes a guest on our show, Bill is the TV teacher at Boyertown High School. And he and I, the last couple of years of my teaching, developed a talk show called Insight, the kids and I. And
that made it onto like actual Berks cable.
Yeah, not Berks, Pottstown, PCTV.
Okay.
PCTV aired the school board meetings every other week. And, they'd run it all the time. And so we figured it might be nice for them to have a change of content.
Yeah.
And so when the school board meetings were not being broadcast, then we had our Insight show, which ran an hour, and every show was themed. you know, and I picked up a lot of my themes from the Oprah magazine back in the day because she would have special, you know, she would clue me in to what's going on.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and so we'd spend the next couple
like
weeks.
Craig Ferguson says, Oprah is the last great superpower.
She certainly is. Not everybody loves her, but I have such great admiration for her. I mean, talk about Howard Stern being the king of media.
Yeah.
I mean, Oprah's right up there
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's amazing. Anyway, so then we'd spend, like I said, we'd record a new episode every month, and so we'd spend after school times on Tuesday deciding who would be our guest on the show, what direction our conversation would go. It was so much fun. I just loved it. I just loved it. I remember one of the things we talked about, I think yesterday on our show was debates or persuasive speeches I had my kids do.
We talked about.
How did we get into that? I don't remember.
We were talking about, I think, my political affiliation is independent.
There
and
you
I've
go.
never been part of a party.
Right.
And I've got a conservative, I've got liberal blood, I've got both of them. And I said that I had voted for W twice.
There you go.
And you had said about that speech class.
Yeah, it was my academic English classes, and as part of our lesson on persuasive speaking, I had the kids watch the presidential debates at that point.
Yeah.
When Gore and Bush, appeared, to talk, and I had them evaluate their presentation, their performance, according to, the 4 areas of persuasive speaking that are important. You need to appeal to the intellect, you need to appeal to the emotions, you need to provide your audience with an occasion why they should care about what you're talking about, and then you need to provide your audience some way to act. So it's head, heart, act now, and here's how. You make it easy for them. Anyway, they got so excited after watching the debates, and they got invested in the issues that they wanted to have, kind of debates, but I had them research the issues and then assign them, okay, you're doing this side of the issue, you're doing the other side of the issue. And they develop presentations based on whatever issues. I remember one of the issues was abortion.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so they got very excited about that, and they did a marvelous job in their persuasive speeches. And then what I did at the end of that was I had my 3 classes vote, because 3 classes participated in this. And sadly, classes today would not be allowed to do this kind of thing, I don't think. But anyway, at the end of the lesson, I had them vote for president. And I promised them whoever they voted for in total of 100 and some kids, I would take my personal vote to the polls, and they would be represented by my one vote at the polls. And they voted at the time for George W. And we decided at the time that he just had more charisma. He appealed by the twinkle in his eye, by his particular smile or whatever, that he just captured the hearts of the voters more than Al Gore did.
I remember the famous incident between the 2 of them.
Oh.
Or during a debate. It was just the 2 of them. It was Republican versus Democrat. So they were both nominees at that point. Yeah. They didn't have podiums. Like when there's multiple candidates to get the nominee. Yeah. They didn't have podiums. They were just, I guess they were mic'd on their shirt. Yeah. And that was it. And Gore tried to do what you would call in theater called upstage him. Mm-hmm. Meaning while somebody else has the spotlight, you move to a point where the audience looks at you. Mm-hmm. And he just kind of starts wandering towards W, and W just kind of nods and smiles at him and goes, "How you doing, buddy?" Yeah. And it just backfired on Gore horribly. Yeah. And Bush was known for that, cool response.
That upstaging occurred during Trump and Hillary Clinton's debates, when she was speaking and he creeps up, and I use that word on purpose. He creeps
Yeah.
up behind her, which was really a creepy thing to do
Yeah.
in a variety of ways, definitions of creepy.
My biggest thing there, as a political scientist, and I'm not saying this because I knew her personally and was on her detail, but she managed her reputation poorly. To this day, the first question I get when somebody finds out that was my protection time was, is she really a bitch?
Yeah.
And no,
Yeah.
I don't think she is. I think she's got a great personality. I think she laughs. She was busted, if you want to call it that, back when I was with her in the 2008 campaign for having done shots with her staff.
Really?
In a bar with her staff, all of whom were over the age of 21.
Yeah.
After a long day of campaigning, she does shots with her staff. And this was a bad thing. Just goes to show you how really the media tries to maintain their own relevance.
Yeah.
And said, oh, Hillary's drinking with a bunch of younger people. So what you're saying is she's in touch with a bunch of younger people?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or she's corrupting them, like you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the Christmas party, and the photographer's about to take a group photo of Hillary, Bill, me, and my parents.
Oh.
And I have a glass of wine because I wasn't working, the security. I was a guest,
okay,
as the rest of the whole detail was. She takes the glass from me and says, now, Ross, set that down. You don't want to be caught with that.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a week after she got busted for
Wow.
it. So she has a sense of humor about stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was another one, she cracked some sort of joke. She and John Edwards, after one of the Democratic debates, were talking about something, and there was a hot mic right in front of them, and the whole thing got blasted over the news. Mm-hmm. And she made some sort of joke about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Biden just did it about his age.
Yeah.
Somebody fell.
You did it again.
Did I do that?
Yes.
I hit the table the last time.
You did it again.
All right, well, I'll bang on this table over here or something. Well, I'll have to pick up because that's a good. I love the way Joe Biden's handling so much, and he's 81 years old. Yeah, he's slowing down.
Yep.
But he can legitimately put a sentence together. Mm-hmm. Trump can't do that.
Yeah, he had. It's so much
Trump
of it,
can't,
and it, there's.
Go ahead, keep going.
There's no question about it. So much is decided by nonverbal language. So much, I like this candidate, I don't like this candidate is unspoken. It has nothing to do with their intelligence or their awareness or, the skills they have. It has so much to do with nonverbal stuff. People aren't aware of it.
And that's
Hillary,
what I don't get.
think.
Have you seen Donald Trump?
Hillary, I don't think.
He is a fat slob mess.
Was ever deemed likable.
Yeah. The stories of her in some sort of angry moment get out, and that automatically makes her a bitch. Mm-hmm. And are we recording there again?
Yes. Oh, no. I forgot.
I'll just pick up with managing reputation. So Hillary didn't really manage her reputation and do things well enough. And she knows this. She'll say that today.
Yeah.
Do things well enough to show that sweet side and the caring side. I mean, she wrote a book called It Takes a Village. Mm-hmm. What more do you need? Mm-hmm. Well, apparently that still wasn't enough.
Well, I firmly believe, and I cut you off here, I apologize.
That's all right.
But I do believe that some people are deemed likable and some people are deemed not.
I go through that. Every friend I have tells me how intimidating I am.
Me too.
Like, why? What is so? If you come up to me and say hi to me in a bar
Mhm.
because you think I'm cute,
Mhm.
and I say get away from me, who's the asshole, me or you?
Yeah. Yeah. And why? And it's that same thing that, and it has to be energy of some kind that draws people to even people as disgusting as Donald Trump.
Yeah,
I mean, but people love him
I think
and they
the
hate
yeah
Hillary.
yeah
What?
I think
Please explain.
the only thing I can think of right now, because if you, and this is why I never followed him back in 16, was because I know how to spell Google and I can do my own fact checking with anything beyond the news. If you're going to, and I say this, in up the middle where I teach fact checking, if you're going to go with Fox News, you need to also find that same story. Good luck. You need to find that same story on CNN.
Yeah.
And you need to go to Breitbart on the even farther right and MSNBC on the even farther left
Yeah.
and get all perspectives if you want to make an intelligent decision.
Yeah.
Remember that intelligence should dictate policy, not the other way around. And when you're just saying, well, I heard it on Fox News
Yeah.
and they're my reliable news source
Yeah.
because they tell me they're the most reliable news source.
Yeah.
And they admit in court that they lie
Yeah.
and that they're not a news source and
And
that they're just for entertainment.
yeah. So what do we do?
And they say that you, the listener, the viewer, are smart enough to discern between the two, entertainment and actual news, when they also say, as the ratings prove, they're the most watched news source. They're not news.
People love the drama, right? They
Well,
love
and
the
that's
energy that anger produces.
Yep.
We talked about that with
Yeah, with David, yeah. But I think even more than that, even more than the drama, they love what's the word? They love fitting in. They love the association. And that's what I was getting to in the reason why I think Donald Trump still has whatever, because I see in the news, he goes all over the place and he's booed everywhere he goes. Was it Ben Shapiro? One of the conservative talking heads puts out a tweet about how, and I refuse to use X.
Oh,
it's
yes,
fucking
yes,
Twitter.
Yes.
Puts out a tweet about how Donald Trump was loved at the USC football game. And I got that in an email, showing here's all the alerts for Twitter. And the very next alert in that email was an actual news agency showing how he got booed at that very same game.
Wow.
So tell me this isn't propaganda, and quite possibly in both directions. Maybe he was cheered and maybe he was
also
booed
booed
by different sections of the crowd.
Exactly.
But there's a picture of a guy while he's standing in his box waving, one guy maybe 10 rows in front of him, giving him both middle fingers. That's not cheering.
No.
And my point of all that is, I think who is left in his camp are the narcissistic, uneducated, or as David would say for that, in some cases, overeducated. Remember, he said the people we're really going to have a tough time convincing are the smarter ones that have already convinced themselves he's our guy.
Yeah.
And as my dad would say, they're so smart, they're stupid.
Yeah.
And I just think that the people that are still with him, one of my brothers during this vacation tried to tell me that Tony Fauci invented the COVID virus. So sitting right there with him, I Googled it and just let that be my starting point.
Wow.
I found one story about Tony Fauci inventing the Google virus, or the Google virus, the COVID virus.
Well, Google's a virus too, but anyway.
Yeah. It was from Fox News.
Of course.
and they were debunking the story.
How did your brother respond?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to, and I remember asking you in the last episode we tried to record, did everybody behave themselves at the Thanksgiving table? And that was the story you told.
Yeah, I got multiple instructions.
Did you?
On multiple occasions, the instructions to not discuss politics.
At the table or before?
At the party last night with mom's side of the family.
Okay.
At, thanks. Pretty much during the whole visit.
Okay.
And we did.
Behave yourselves?
No, we discussed politics because that lasts all about 5 minutes before somebody says something stupid and it's countermanded by, something.
Yeah.
My biggest thing right now is I'm sick of hearing people say
the economy. Sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because you can't balance a checkbook or redo your budget to fit your needs isn't Joe Biden's fault.
Right.
The very same metrics that Donald Trump used to say how great he was have been used to show that Joe Biden is heads and shoulders better.
Yeah.
And that all these jobs that he's creating are not jobs coming back from COVID. There were the jobs, quote unquote, lost in COVID are not lost when you're closed just for COVID. If you're coming back to that job at the end of COVID, you were never lost.
Right.
And Biden never counted that.
Ah, yes.
What he's counting are the jobs that were recovered that Trump lost during the other excellent economy we had at the end of the Obama administration.
Yeah.
These are all facts that are not said on Fox News. And they're not said enough on the quote unquote liberal media.
Yeah.
Which, believe it or not, are actually much more centrist. And I won't say the proper term really is equally biased.
Okay.
Which is what I'm actually switching to in all my branding, as opposed to nonpartisan, because I am taking a side.
Yes.
And, right now, the one side is many people say that I'm a liberal. I've got more guns than those people that are accusing me of being liberals. One of the guys on Sport Cat Jackson from Yergz Radio called me a Democrat. I've never been in any political party.
You're an independent.
And where's I going with all that?
Economy.
Well, the
media.
The bias is my bias is conservative in one issue, liberal on another.
Yeah.
Depending on my own research and feelings towards it. I'm very pro Second Amendment, but we 2A people have done a horrible job policing ourselves. And if that's one of the things why we're carrying guns in the first place is to make our community safer, shouldn't we be picking the right people for the job?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Have we ever tried somebody, just electing some celebrity who just picks people randomly? Has that ever worked out good for us?
Not terribly well. But you know what? I know that our folks will start coming in the door.
Yeah, we're getting
our
there.
Reception, and we probably have been chatting for a bit now.
Well, this one's going on 42 minutes, and that's unstopped. So, and it looks like we're still going. So I might have one now. So
there we go.
We've got a good episode for both sides now.
We do.
Do we still need to record tomorrow morning for episode number 2?
Well, we can.
Yeah.
We can. We'll be.
I'll be back late tonight.
Okay.
And I'll get enough sleep that I can be up and
back
in Studio Yergz.
Okay. Well, text me and we'll see what's going on and when it would be a good idea to get together.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Listen, It's been so
Definitely.
much fun.
Definitely.
Meeting face to face.
Yes,
And
yes.
I look forward to your next visit, either
Yeah.
you here in Pennsylvania
Or get down there.
or
Yeah.
get down there. I doubt that'll happen. Well, I have to take care of Ginger. I just can't leave. What can I say?
Well, get an RV and all four of you come down.
There you go. There you go. Anyway,
So, yeah.
I'm Jane Stahl,
And I'm Yergz.
and this is
Both sides now.
Take Care.
See you, everybody.